When Barron Trump went from a mysterious figure to the unlikely hero of a lost child in a mall, it left everyone stunned. Everything seemed normal at the NY Mall, with shoppers strolling through their favorite outlets. But the atmosphere shifted when a tall, young, and handsome man entered, surrounded by security in black suits, capturing everyone's attention. Shoppers began to whisper. One said, "That's Barron Trump, with his security detail and no empathy for anyone," and many nodded in agreement. Barron, who had been walking through the crowd, overheard the comments but didn't let them bother him. He continued strolling, but then, unexpectedly, he stopped. He noticed a young girl crying in the corner. Though it wasn't his concern, something about it tugged at him. His bodyguard approached. "Sir, we should keep moving," he advised. Barron glanced back at the girl, signaling for his bodyguard to stay quiet as he scanned the area, finding no one trying to comfort the girl. He walked over to her, asking his security to maintain a distance, not wanting to intimidate the child. As he knelt beside her, he gently asked, "Hey, sweetie, what's wrong?" The girl cried for a long time, but when she saw someone offering comfort, she suddenly hugged Barron as if seeking protection. The onlookers were taken aback. No one could understand how someone so wealthy could be so down to earth. One person even muttered, "What a way to whitewash his public image." It was clear they misunderstood Barron's intentions. Barron, still stunned by the hug, overheard the remark. For a moment he looked at them, whispering under his breath, "How can people be so judgmental without knowing the whole story?" He sighed, then continued, "I need to tell them the truth. They need to find her parents." As he stood to address the crowd, a thought flashed in his mind. His father's words. "No matter what you do, people will judge you because you're a Trump, but never respond to them." Barron closed his eyes, letting go of his emotions to focus on the real issue. The girl was terrified. It was time to find out why. Barron sat back down beside her and gently soothed. Hey, don't cry, sweetie. What happened?" After a few attempts to calm her, the girl stopped crying and said, "I'm lost. I miss my mama." Barron realized this was worse than he'd expected. She was alone, but in a mall, there was a good chance her parents were searching for her. He wasn't sure how to help, but he could feel the eyes of onlookers on him, some recording the moment. Barron spoke again. "Don't worry, I'll help you find your parents." He took her hand and added, "But first, let's get you to stop crying." To his surprise, the girl actually stopped. The onlookers were equally amazed. One of them commented, "I don't see any cameras. This can't be a stunt." Another replied, "I'm not sure, but we'll find out." The girl looked at Barron, saying, "I want Mommy and Daddy." Barron nodded. "They're probably looking for you right now," he reassured her. He kept her engaged with conversation as he brainstormed solutions. His intellect was never in question, but his ability to handle both the emotional and practical aspects of the situation was impressive. For him, this moment felt deeply personal. He remembered all the times he had felt abandoned and alone during his college days, longing for someone to offer support, but finding no one. "What's your name, sweetie?" Barron asked gently. The girl hesitated, but then answered, "Hallie." She seemed nervous, biting her nails. Barron realized that to get more information about her parents, he needed to ease her discomfort. Then, with a playful smile, he pulled a coin from his sleeve and a chocolate from behind her ear. Hallie's face lit up with a smile, and she laughed as she grabbed both the coin and the chocolate. "Ah, that's so sweet," one of the onlookers remarked, their gaze fixed on the unfolding scene. Others nearby, now drawn in by the moment, began to immerse themselves in what was happening, slowly realizing the significance of it all. Barron crouched to meet Hallie's eyes, keeping his tone gentle. "Hallie, do you like ice cream?" The little girl's teary eyes widened slightly, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Yes." Barron smiled warmly, sensing an opportunity to help her relax. "Perfect. Let's get you some. You can tell me about your mommy and daddy while we eat, okay?" He held out his hand, and Hallie hesitated for a moment before taking it, her small fingers clutching his tightly. As they walked toward the food court, onlookers whispered among themselves, their gazes fixed on Barron and the girl. The murmurs of curiosity and judgment rippled through the crowd, but Barron paid no attention. His focus remained solely on Hallie. They reached the ice cream counter, where the vibrant display of flavors immediately captured Hallie's attention. She pressed her face against the glass, her earlier fear momentarily replaced by wonder. "What's your favorite flavor, Hallie?" Barron asked, crouching beside her. "Strawberry," she said, her voice a little steadier now. "Good choice," Barron replied with a nod. He turned to the vendor. "One strawberry cone, please, and I'll have chocolate." When the ice cream arrived, Hallie took her cone with both hands, her smile finally breaking through. Barron chuckled softly, watching her take the first bite, a tiny bit of pink ice cream smudging her nose. "Careful there," he said, gently wiping her nose with a tissue. "Now, Hallie, can you tell me more about your mommy and daddy? What do they look like?" Hallie licked her cone thoughtfully before answering. "Mommy has curly hair and a green dress today. Daddy has glasses and a big watch." Barron nodded, making a mental note of the details. "That's really helpful. Do you remember where you were before you got lost?" Hallie looked down at her ice cream, her brows furrowed. "We were at the toy store. I saw a big teddy bear, and then—" Her voice wavered as she added, "I couldn't find them." Barron reached out and gave her shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "It's okay, Hallie. We'll find them. You're doing great." He glanced at his security team, who had been keeping a discreet distance, and signaled one of them to quietly check the nearby toy store. Meanwhile, Barron kept Hallie engaged. "Do you like teddy bears?" he asked, his tone light and playful. Hallie nodded, her smile returning. "I love them. My mommy said she'd get me one for my birthday." Barron chuckled. "Teddy bears are pretty great. You know, when I was little I had one too. His name was Mr. Buttons." Hallie giggled. "That's a funny name." "Hey, it's a classic," Barron teased, pretending to be offended. The playful banter seemed to ease Hallie's nerves, and Barron felt a small sense of relief. Still, he remained alert, his sharp eyes scanning the crowd for anyone who might resemble the description Hallie had given. Just then, his security guard approached discreetly and whispered, "The toy store manager is checking their cameras, sir. We might have a lead." Barron nodded but kept his focus on Hallie, determined to keep her calm and safe until her parents could be found. "Hallie," he said, "how about we take a little walk while we wait? Maybe we'll spot your mommy and daddy." "Okay," Hallie agreed, holding onto his hand again. As they strolled through the mall, Hallie's small, trusting hand in his, Barron couldn't help but reflect on how unexpected this moment was. For years, he had been painted as cold and detached, but this little girl's trust in him felt more real than anything else. He was determined to prove to her, and maybe to himself, that he could be more than what the world assumed. As Barron and Hallie walked through the bustling mall, the sound of chatter and footsteps filled the air. Hallie gripped his hand tightly, her small fingers curling around his as if she feared letting go would make her disappear again. "Hallie," Barron said gently, kneeling down to meet her eye level. "I'm going to talk to the mall security team, okay? They're really good at helping find parents, but I'll stay with you the whole time. Deal?" Hallie hesitated, her lower lip trembling. "You won't leave me, right?" "Never," Barron said firmly, giving her a reassuring smile. "You're stuck with me until we find your mommy and daddy." He led her to a nearby information desk where a mall security guard stood, looking slightly frazzled from the busy day. The guard's eyes widened slightly as Barron approached, clearly recognizing him. "Mr. Trump," the guard stammered, "how can I help you?" Barron cut to the point. "This little girl is lost. Her name is Hallie. She says her mom is wearing a green dress and her dad has glasses and a big watch. Can you make an announcement over the intercom and check the security cameras?" The guard nodded quickly. "Of course. I'll alert my team right away." Hallie clung to Barron's side, her ice cream now forgotten, melting slowly onto the napkin he had wrapped around it. She looked up at him, her eyes wide with hope and fear. "You're doing great, Hallie," Barron said softly, patting her shoulder. The guard picked up his radio, relaying the details to his team and instructing them to scan the toy store footage. Moments later, a voice echoed over the mall intercom. Attention shoppers, we have a lost child named Hallie. She is approximately 6 years old, with brown hair, and is accompanied by mall staff. If you are her parents or know her parents, please proceed to the information desk immediately. Hallie flinched slightly at the sound, her grip on Barron tightening. What if they don't hear it? She whispered. They will, Barron reassured her, though inwardly he felt the weight of her fear. He knew the mall was enormous, and her parents could be anywhere, or worse, they might have already left without realizing she was missing. As they waited, Barron tried to keep Hallie distracted. So, Hallie, he said with a playful grin, if you could have any toy in the whole mall, what would it be? She brightened slightly, her mind momentarily shifting from her worry. The big teddy bear, Barron chuckled. The one you saw earlier? Sounds like a good choice. Maybe we can check it out later, once we find your parents. The crowd, still quietly observing, began to murmur amongst themselves. I thought he was just here for a quick appearance, one shopper remarked. But look at him. He's really taking time to help her. Another woman, who had been filming the scene, lowered her phone slightly, her expression softening. I've heard so much about him, but honestly, he's doing more than I expected. However, as the minutes ticked by with no sign of Hallie's parents, Barron felt a sense of urgency. The guard returned, shaking his head. No sign of the parents yet, sir, and the toy store cameras didn't capture anything useful. They were facing the wrong direction at the time. Barron sighed, frustration bubbling beneath his calm exterior. He glanced down at Hallie, who was now fidgeting nervously, and knelt beside her again. Hey, Hallie, do you remember anything else about your parents? Maybe where you parked your car, or what they said before you went to the toy store? Hallie bit her lip, thinking hard. Mommy said we were going to the bookstore after, but I don't know where it is. Barron stood, nodding to the guard. Can you send someone to check the bookstore? The guard nodded and radioed his team again. Meanwhile, Barron led Hallie toward the bookstore himself, hoping she might recognize something along the way. As they neared the bookstore, Hallie suddenly tugged on his hand. Wait! She exclaimed. That's Daddy's watch! Barron followed her gaze and spotted a man standing near a display, adjusting his glasses and looking around anxiously. Beside him was a woman in a green dress, her face pale with worry. Mommy! Daddy! Hallie cried, letting go of Barron's hand and sprinting toward them. The couple turned at the sound of her voice, and their expressions lit up with relief. Hallie! The woman exclaimed, dropping to her knees to catch her daughter in a tight embrace. Barron approached slowly, giving them space. The man stood and extended his hand, his voice thick with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you so much for helping her. Barron shook his hand firmly. She's a brave kid. Just glad we found you. The woman wiped away tears as she looked up at Barron. We were so scared. I don't know how to thank you. Barron simply nodded, his usual stoic demeanor returning. Just take care of her. She's something special. As the family reunited, the onlookers who had been following the scene began to applaud softly, their earlier skepticism replaced with admiration. I can't believe it, one shopper whispered, eyes wide. I thought he was just some spoiled rich kid. But look at him. He stayed with her the whole time. Yeah, another person added, shaking their head in disbelief. He's not just a name. He really did care about getting her back to her parents. That's something. Barron ignored the attention, turning to his security team and signaling that it was time to leave. As he walked away, Hallie called out, Thank you, Mr. Buttons! Barron paused, a genuine smile breaking across his face as he glanced back at her. With a small wave, Barron walked away. The crowd slowly dispersed, the quiet buzz of the mall returning. Hallie's grateful wave echoed in his mind, but he didn't turn back. He passed through the doors and out into the bustling street, his figure blending into the crowd. No one stopped to watch him leave. He was just another person, disappearing without a trace. And for those who had witnessed the moment, the question lingered. Who was Barron Trump really? The answer was lost in the passing of time, and perhaps that was exactly how he wanted it. If this story moved you, there's another one waiting to inspire you. Click the video on your screen to discover more moments of unexpected kindness and heartwarming surprises. Your next unforgettable experience is just a click away.